Okay, this is a lesson on chords. This is going to help you guys construct your next line. Okay, now a brief lesson on chords. When it comes to chords, there are three basic chords that we're going to be using in music. Now, a chord is three notes, is built up of three notes. And these notes are, they skip each other, so they're three skips. Okay? Now, the first chord that we're going to look at is the C chord. Now, I have a picture here of a marimba, and obviously it won't, if I touch it, it won't play anything. But the first chord is your C chord, and this is made up of C, we skip to the E, and then we move to the G. Okay? That is a C major chord, C, E, and G. It's a series of skips. All right? And when you play it, let me play it for you right now. When you play it, it sounds like this. Okay? A nice home bass. All right? Think of this chord as home. All right? So we'll just call this the home chord. In music, we actually call it a one chord with a fancy Roman numeral. Okay? All right, so that's that chord. Another chord that we use, I'll use green for this one, is the F chord. The F chord is kind of like a, I don't know, kind of like going to first base, first base. So first base or even second base. So that would be starting on F, and you would skip over to A, and then you would go to the C. All right? And that's what the F chord is made of, an F, an A, and a C. Now, every once in a while, because you're limited on going just to the A, you may have to go from this C and actually move it all the way to this C. All right? So it would be a C, an F, and an A. But the root of the chord would be the F. That's why we call it an F chord. Okay? So think of the F chord as maybe, first or second base, like if you're thinking in terms of baseball, okay? Now, in order to score in baseball, you got to cover third base. Third base is what takes you back home. So for that one, let's call that, we'll make it red. For this one, you're going to start on G. It's the G chord. You start on G, and again, it's a skip, so you're going to skip to B, and then skip again to D. Now D, we've taught you already that you don't want to ever go into your neighbor's yard. Well, as you can see, the G chord does go into your neighbor's yard. So what do? You take this D and you actually move it to this D. So you see how that works? So it's kind of throwing you a little bit of a curveball. So you have your four chords. You have your C chord, C, E, and G. You have your F chord, okay, and finally you have your G chord, okay, all right. And if you really want to get technical with it, you have the one chord. The F chord is normally called the 4 chord, and that would be the Roman numeral 4. And the G chord is normally called the 5 chord. Okay? So these are the chords that you're going to need. Now, let me take you to how this is going to work. Okay? So I'm going to write these chords out. So we have C, C, E, and G, and we always put the main note on the bottom. We have F, A, and C, all right, with the main note here, and then finally we have G, B, and D. So what you need to do is go to your line and figure out how these chords would work in your piece. For example, let's say we have a line. I'll take I'll take one of the lines that I wrote. I believe it was ta, ta, ti, ti, ta, ta, ti, ti, ta. And then I wrote a rest. And the notes I had were C, D, E, F, G, A, G, F, G. Okay? Sorry, I can't write very well with my fingers. All right. So you have this line. Well, now what you need to do is figure out how these chords fit into this line. Okay? And you want to look at your beats. This is why it was so important to count your beats. You want to look at your beats. So let me take a blue color. So here's a main beat, here's a main beat, here's a main beat, and here's a main beat. Those are where your beats are. All right, that's going to be important to identify because you don't want to put a chord on a wrong note, on a wrong beat. Okay, so let's look at the first one. You have C. Well, that's a very obvious one because that seems like it would be the C chord right here. All right, so you might want to put G, E, and C. All right. Now, you know what? I think we're going to skip the second beat and let's look at the next beat, the third beat. All right. We have C, E. Well, the only chord that has an E in it is a C. So we'll go ahead and put that there. Okay. And again, we're going to just only go with the odd beats. So we'll just do the first and the second, first and the third. And then here, let's see, here, with this beat here, whoops, wrong thing. With this beat here, that's an A. Well, the only chord that has an A in it is the F chord. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. All right. And then, again, only look at the first and the third beat. And the third beat would be with a G. Well, that would be the only one that we haven't used yet, which that is the G chord. Okay. Now, if I was just to play those chords on those beats and I was to count to 8, it would sound like this. You would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which actually sounds kind of cool. Okay? We may need to switch things around, but that's a great place to start. All right? Now let me take you to another slide. Okay, so we just got finished with our line. Let me rewrite it here quickly. C, D, E, F, G, C, D, E, F, G, A, G, F, G. Okay, so, and we decided, I'm just going to put the chords in blue. This will be a C chord here, another C chord here, another F, and then a G here. Okay, remember, we're only looking at the first and the third beats. So when you're writing a different line, you want to take into consideration your notes. Okay, a great place to start would be, let's consider a bass line. A bass line would be just, we'll start off with just 8 tas to start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, to start off, let's see what it sounds like if we do just maybe C, C, and I know it said a C chord here, but it has an E in it. Maybe I'll put an E there. And then why not go ahead and finish it off with a G? So this whole measure is C, so I went ahead and made the whole thing a C major chord. And then for the next line, we can do F, F, and then maybe just G, G. All right? So when I play it, it would be C, C, E, G, F, F, G, G. All right? And that actually doesn't sound half bad. Okay? So that's what your task is for today, is to write your bass line. Okay, start off with 8 tas and see how it goes. Now, remember, you don't have to stick with tas. If you want, you can always change it to something more interesting, maybe a bump T. All right, but remember, you got to have a sound for each one. So if I do a bump T, I better have something like C, C, E, G, G, and then make it more interesting here. I need to add another G. Why not? So it would be C, 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 E, G, G, F, F, G, G, G. All right? So that would be something to consider. Just keep in mind your chords. Your chords are going to be extremely important. All right? Because if the chords don't match up, you're going to have major clashing, which is not good in music. Okay? All right, so I hope this explained what you need to do for today.